Welcome back to another video. So today I'm working on my 1999 GSXR 600. As you'd have seen previously, I've got this front end all put back together, a couple of bits missing, but mainly all together, all the wiring loom back connected and tidied up. So that is looking pretty good. So let's try and get some more bits put back on the bike today and yeah, see if we can get it a bit further. So I'm going to start with putting on the trickle charger and getting the battery connected. As you'll see here, pretty easy install. Just connect it straight onto the battery and then you've got the easy quick connect that I'll put underneath the rear pillion seat. So when I want to charge, I can just remove the rear pillion seat, plug it in and sort of away you go. So yeah, now get the battery tight and then all I need to do is tidy these cables, kind of get them in a way that they look good and they're not going to sort of be flapping around. And then yeah, we can get it turned on and see if everything works. So that's the charger installed, so I can now take the rear seat off and plug in when I need to. It's obviously connected to the battery, so now I should be able to turn the ignition on. And that has all come up, so that is pretty good. You can hear the fuel pump relay turning on as well, so obviously I've got no indicators, no lights connected at the back. Yeah, the fuel tank isn't connected, so I'm not going to try anything at the moment, but yeah, at least I know it all comes back on. That is all of the electrical system done now, apart from the lights and the indicators, or the rear light and the indicators. So that is pretty good progress. So here, just giving it a quick polish by hand. Again, depending on how this looks once it's on the bike, I don't think I need to machine polish it. I think it's going to do alright with just a hand polish. But as you'll see, I do this a few times. Yeah, looks pretty good afterwards. There are some deeper scratches on the side where it meets the fork, where some of the brake lines are connected to, but I don't think it's worth replacing just for those few scratches. They're kind of behind the brake lines. It's difficult to see, but yeah, the main top part that you'll see when you're off the bike looks pretty good. So the most important thing here is once these rubber clamps are back in and the hoses are sort of locked in position, make sure you turn the wheel full lock to just make sure nothing's sort of tight or rubbing or pulling on anything as you move. But yeah, apart from that, pretty straightforward. So next we're onto this underbelly section of fairing. This is right underneath the bike. It's difficult to see unless you get right down beside the bike. There are a few scratches on the left side where the stand kind of goes up and down between. Not because of the stand, but just close to the stand. So yeah, I'm not going to replace this. I'm going to give it a good clean and put it back on the bike. This is something that I see on eBay quite a lot. They do come up quite cheap. So when one next comes up in the same colour, I will then replace it. As you have seen there, that took a lot of work to get that back to somewhere how it should look. Yeah, that is obviously where that is. It's below the front sprocket, picks up a lot of dirt from the chain, picks up a lot of dirt from the front wheel that's sort of flung up. So yeah, that was a pretty deep clean needed for that. But like I said, I will be replacing it at some point, but for now I don't think you'll notice the scratches on it once it's on the bike. So as you'll see here, the rear light sticks out from the back of the fairing, and where that is, that's rubbed quite a bit and just needs a good polish. You'll see there's quite a few marks towards the end of the light. So yeah, nothing that a hand polish I don't think can get out. So yeah, we'll see how that comes up. again, just to polish your hand. Went over it quite a few times, but yeah, that looks pretty good. Now those marks towards the back of it have come off, as you can see there once I put the light on it. So as the original indicators were broken, a lot of the rubber on them was perished, so I've got some new indicators here. These are not LED, so these are going to work the same as the original ones. These don't come with the standard indicator plugs on them, they've just got these, and they don't come with any connectors. So what I'm going to do is I've cut off the cable from the faulty original indicators, and I'm going to join that with these heat shrink inline connectors. So first thing I'm going to do is mount them to the bike. So the original indicators had these spacers on them, and they also had these washers. I've sprayed these black, and that will now mount in there. So these two, because these are open, what I'm going to do is fit it to the bike and then put a piece of heat shrink across so it seals onto the thread once it's mounted. So first job, I'm going to mount these to the bike. So what I'm doing here, indicator with the original washer, and then the spacer and the nut and the spring washer goes on the inside. So that spacer locates in there. Push the new indicator through and tighten up the nut. So that is both of those both fitted. So I just need to get a spanner on the inside, tighten them up and make sure they are equal. So I'm now going to sleeve over these cables, and then this will go over the stud on the indicator as well. So now I've sleeved these, they should just poke up like the original cables and then pull through into there. So I'll do the same with both. So if you can see that now. So as you can see, the sleeving goes all the way up to the nut, and then it passes up into the hole where it's going to be joined. And I've done the same on both sides. So I've now got the cables both coming up here, and they need to join to the cables here. The longest cable goes to the right side and the shorter cable goes to the left side. And obviously they are colour coded. One is grey and one is black. So the grey one is the one closest to this. So what I'm going to do is literally cut the cable short there. So that's going to be cable tied along there. So I need that. So I need to make an extension cable just that long, like that. So I'm going to cut this about here. So I just need to join those two cables to those two, and then that will plug in there. I'm going to put a little bit of sleeving on here so I can then slide it over the join afterwards. is now sleeved all the way, fully protected, and that is ready to plug in. So now I can do the same with this one, which is the black plug. So again, that's a waterproof join in there, and then I've sleeved over it. That's the reason I've sleeved over that, is more just for looks and a little bit of protection there. So that one's actually going to run around inside the back here where you can put stuff. So yeah, so now they can both be plugged in, and that can all be tidied up. So the way I've done these indicators, if anyone ever wants to put the original ones back on, they've got the original washers, the original spacers, and the original plugs here they can just plug into with the new indicators. So I've not modified the bike side of it. Yes, they're new indicators, but that can still go back to how it was originally if needed. So that is the indicators and the rear light on. All the cables plugged in, tidied up. So what I've done is temporarily just plugged in the front indicators. They're both just hanging down. So now I should be able to turn it on and make sure it all works. Which is good. So I'll turn the indicators off, put the lights on, make sure the rear light has come on, which it has. Press the brake, press the front brake. So that is all good. So I'm now ready to put the airbox back on. However, this foam has all come off a little bit, so I'm going to remove that. As you can see, this one was also pretty bad. So I'm going to fully remove the tape from this and then put some new foam on, which I've got ordered some replacement foam, which will just go round like so. So first job, clean this off. So I'm now ready to put the tank on. You can't get the hinge bolt in with this bracket on, so I need to take this bracket off, add this to the tank, and then I can put the tank on. So I'm going to replace these. These are just vent pipes, but this one I cut to use for something else, trying something else in the garage. So I need to cut one that length with that piece added and one this length. And then now I can add the hinge bracket. So that is the tank ready to go back on the bike. These parts here, I've got a few bits I'm going to touch up with just a touch-up pen. These two I'm going to spray, but what I'm going to do is put this on the bike, put the rear cowl on the bike, put the seat on, and so I can mask off where this is not visible. So I'm hoping I can get away with just taping it off and then sanding this bit down and spraying this. But that'll be covered by the seat. And then there's just a few little chips. I'm going to use a touch-up pen because you won't be able to see them once it's on the bike. So that's the two vent pipes. They both go down a separate direction. And this one here, I'll just show you. This one comes down and then there's a little eyelet here that it just feeds through to keep that where it is. So now I can replace the fuel filler cap. So as you'd have seen previously, I got a new fuel filler cap with the ignition and the rear pillion seat lock. So I can now swap that out. Obviously this isn't a Suzuki one, but the way this is all pitted and this aluminium's gone like that, I don't really see a way of coming back. So yeah, this one is pretty much, looks very similar, but it's not a Suzuki. So that is the tank back on the bike and tight. As you'll see here, there's a few bits here that actually falls within where the seat is, so once the seat is on you won't see them. I am going to mask around that and get them sprayed, but for now I just want to get the tank back on the bike so I can work with that once it's on. But yeah, that's all on and looking pretty good. So if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.